Being a people pleaser can make life difficult, but when the holiday season arrives, it can be that much worse. The tendency to do too much for loved ones and never set limits can get us into all sorts of trouble, both financial and emotional. I've seen people spend money they didn't have on unnecessary presents, racking up debt that took them the rest of the year to pay off. The worst part is that those on the receiving end of the gifts didn't care about these things. The people pleaser was convinced that they had to buy these lavish gifts, but it was all in their head. People pleasing is a behavior in which we do too much for others and don't say no to things that upset us or hurt us. We go along with situations that make us unhappy, and we don't stand up for ourselves, ask for what we need, or push back against behaviors that are hurtful, unacceptable, or inappropriate. We tolerate disrespect and exploitation, and we give and give even when it exhausts and depletes us. People pleasers never express displeasure for fear of offending, and we don't dare voice our own opinions, needs, or feelings for fear of being rejected or abandoned. People pleasing comes from a place of insecurity and low self-esteem. People pleasers believe that we have to behave this way in order to earn the love and attention of those around us. During the holidays, people pleasing can really get out of hand. People can exhaust themselves preparing elaborate meals for friends and family when their loved ones would be happy to eat something simple and just enjoy their company. People pleasers will go overboard with holiday decorations that nobody needs or cares about. They'll bake multiple desserts and multiple batches of cookies when their loved ones would be satisfied with a lot less. The pleaser is convinced that they have to do this because otherwise people would be disappointed with them. It's not what they want to do, but it's what they believe they should do, even if it wipes them out and drains their finances. The difference between a people pleaser and a kind person who is happy to do these things is that the pleaser does it out of a fear of rejection and a need for approval, whereas the kind person does it because they sincerely enjoy doing it. The problem with people pleasing is that it's not authentic. Nobody is always so agreeable, tolerant, understanding, or accepting of other people's behavior. Nobody is comfortable always saying yes and never pushing back against behaviors that make them feel bad. With people pleasing, the natural result is for us to gradually build up more and more resentment. We resent how much we're doing for everyone else and how it leaves us no time to take care of ourselves. We resent how we keep going along with things that we don't want and how we tolerate bad behavior from those around us. We resent always being the one who makes that extra effort and who works that much harder. Even though on the surface we're smiling, on the inside we could be seething. This resentment becomes anxiety-provoking to us because as people pleasers, the last thing we want is to upset anyone. So we push it down and try our best not to express it. But when we repress our natural resentment, two things can happen. The first is that we experience the resentment as a pressure within ourselves that's pushing against the surface. Anger is an active energy that needs to come out. So we have to use some type of behavior to push down the resentment. We can overeat, drink excess alcohol, use drugs, gamble, spend more money, or play video games for hours on end, all to keep our resentment at bay. And because none of these behaviors are really that good at keeping our resentment down, we have to do more and more of them, or several types of them, in order to keep repressing the resentment. This creates a pattern of compulsive behavior, which can even turn into addiction, and then the addiction can take on a life of its own. The other thing that happens with our resentment is that even though we're trying to suppress it, the feelings can still leak out, either in passive-aggressive behaviors or in small angry outbursts, mini explosions of rage that we instantly regret. When we leak anger, our anxiety goes through the roof about the possibility of being rejected, so we try that much harder to repress our resentment. If we succeed in repressing our resentment, it's probably because we're engaging in more compulsive behavior. If we fail at it, we just make people mad at us over the leaks. Here's the thing. Everyone needs to be authentic. We all need to be who we are. When we have to pretend, there are two problems. One, we feel alienated from ourselves because either we don't know who we are or we just can't be who we are. Two, we feel alienated from others. When we're trying so hard to please, no one knows who we really are. It's lonely to be interacting with people, but to never feel seen or known. Intimacy is defined as seeing and being seen. And the tragic irony of the people pleaser is that intimacy is less possible for them, even though it's what they want the most. Another problem with people pleasing is that deep down, we know we're not being loved for who we are. Any attention, affection, or positive regard that we receive because of all the people-pleasing doesn't make us feel good. We can't appreciate it because we had to do so much to get it. The approval we receive feels like empty calories that don't nourish us deep down inside. During the holidays, the pressure to connect is greater than ever. Many of us feel the need to prove to ourselves that we're loved and that we have people to love. For people pleasers who are already insecure about their attachments, the urge to do too much can become overwhelming. So what's the answer? We need to see that love can't be earned or bought. We need to understand that if people love us, it's because they're capable of loving us and not because of something that we've done for them. We have to trust that if we're our normal, pleasant selves, there will always be people who are capable of caring about us. One sad fact about people pleasers is that they tend to attract users. The people pleaser gets accustomed to this type of person and they start thinking that everyone is like this. The people pleaser needs to see that there are kind, caring people out there who are happy just to be with them and who aren't there to take advantage of them. Sadly, because the pleaser attracts users, they end up being treated worse than the average person, even when they want to be treated well. The paradox of people pleasing is that these individuals attract exactly the opposite type of person to what they want. So although the temptation to be a people pleaser is greatest over the holidays, we have to resist the urge. We have to understand that the only way to get through the holidays emotionally and financially intact is to be authentic and to let people know who we really are. Instead of doing too much and becoming exhausted and resentful, and possibly getting into addiction or leaking anger, we can just do what feels right, and that can be enough. If we can be authentic and do only as much as we're comfortable with, we can trust that the people who choose to be around us really do care about us and aren't just there to take advantage of us. When we're not resentful of having to try so hard and do so much, and when we're not draining ourselves financially and emotionally, we can actually enjoy the holidays with the people who like us for who we are and with whom we can have authentic and satisfying connections.